All right. Welcome. Thank you. Got a frog. Sorry. Frog in the throat. I haven't talked in about a half hour. Good way to kick off with Q&A. It's had some of these bars. These bars are really good, guys. Prima. I'm not making any money. 16 grams of protein, grass-fed meat, natural sweeteners, honey. It's pretty good. I started chewing them when I'm hungry, so I don't eat big meals and stuff. Anyway, good afternoon. Sorry about getting a rough start. It is what it is. We've had a great week. We're getting caught up on a lot of things. We're gonna finish up the Q&A from Monday. So I'm gonna start with the questions that were posted in the actual Q&A. So if you have a question from then, do not repost it, please. Just kind of makes it a little more difficult. We're gonna get to all the questions, but if you have a fresh question and it's related to living in the private, or it's a question that because like a lot of times people come here and they just start asking away and they don't do a lot of research and stuff, and then they ask a very generic question that would take an hour to explain. And so I just want to encourage you guys, do me a favor, don't do that because it's just timely. I'm gonna be right back. I got to turn down the air. It's kind of warm in here. Give me a second, please. That's it. Wife's getting a spanking when she gets home. She has no fat on her, and so she gets real cold quickly, and she goes up to the little thermometer and makes a little adjustment on the sneak, and I've been wondering why it's all hot back here for a long time now. So she's gonna get a little spanking when she gets back. I'm just kidding. Ah, it is what it is. Marital love, marital bliss. It's all the silly things. Anyway. First question. So Massachusetts takes your license for past taxes, which mine has been suspended. The license was under a straw man, the birth certificate corporation, which I am no longer. Can I get a license under the new man or the person? Oh, that was a question. No, they don't. Number one, a corporation does not do business with a living man. You won't find the word man, real man, straw man. You won't find any of those things, those terms really. You'll find straw man in as a term in the law, but it's really not explaining things away. You want to look at the words like persona and the words identity to help you to understand the legal way that they have divided things. And there's more words too, but um, you're not able to get a license per se in a state to which you owe taxes. Never heard of that. I know child support. I never heard of taxes. Um, I don't know if you went to another state if you'd still be able to get the the license. I don't know if you'd want to get the license. If it were me, I would simply cancel and remove my signature from the license. I would take the power away from them. I would do whatever I could to travel minimally just to keep away from law enforcement. Listen, law enforcement is not trained that you do not have to have a license. Now, I don't recommend this to anybody. If you're going through the living in the private, there's a way to keep your license and there's a way to recontract with the DMV. Um, the element of giving up a license for somebody who's already taken it for taxes, what kind of taxes, I have no idea. Um, I would take the power away from them. I would do a removal of signature from the license. I would go to the DMV and cancel the license. I would do a few notices, um, removal, notice of removal with conditional acceptance, opportunity to cure, and then a default. And then I would put that into the public that your signature has been pulled from the original application. And they might, not be doing anything to cancel the license per se in their system, but they will probably cancel and leave a suspended status on it. Now, guys, look, whether we're nationwide at this point or not, whether they know what you're doing in another state or not, you can go to, I have no idea. You can go to South Dakota and spend one day there and get a driver's license, get ID, those things, and become a resident. It's not that difficult. You can get bank accounts, mailing address, driver's license, all the things that you would need to do. So you may need to spend 2 or 3 days there to get it accomplished, but it's very doable. In the state of California, they don't cancel your license for taxes. There's a lot of states that don't, and I bet there's been challenges against that in the Supreme Court of a state. And whatever's done in one state has to be accepted and ratified in another, even though they are not operating that way. It has to. So that would be what I would do. But I would remove my signature from the license. I would cancel the contract. I would, just because I don't want to deal with law enforcement, and that's not my style. Uh, you are allowed to drive without a license, but the perception is that you had a suspended license that you try to cancel. That's the perception. And then they give you another ticket for driving on a suspended license, and they give you a third ticket. Um, Even though you don't have a license or a suspended license because you canceled it in law. That's why I'm saying cancel it. Remove the power from them. They can put a suspended on a canceled license. That doesn't make sense. If you've canceled it, removed your signature from the original license for fraud in the factum, and for many other reasons, you can simply make that claim as to their ability to have a suspended driver's license charge. Now, just dude, drive with an Uber, get a personal driver, whatever it takes. Drive as minimal as possible, work out of your house, do whatever it takes until you get this past the extension resolved or you get a license in another state. Um, there's also the, again, anything that has been canceled for taxes. If the taxes were agreed upon, that's one thing. If the taxes were not agreed upon, that's another thing. So you may want to submit a ticket and find out what your options are. I can give you a name and number of somebody that can help battle that for you, with you, what have you. Maybe um, bring forward a legal precedence of where they've allowed for somebody else to get the license. But for me, I wouldn't even deal with it. For me, I'd remove my signature, cancel the license forever. And I would worry not 1 minute about traveling, driving without a license. And but since it's already in a suspended status, you got to make sure you get it canceled, period, and that they do not keep the account open. And that's the work that you would have to put in. Should I give my social security number back and live without it? You don't have a social security number. The birth certificate does. There are things that you can do to move your position from trustee to beneficial interest on the social security. But you can't cancel the account. I mean, I know people that have, but it's not up to you when it belongs to them. Can I get bank accounts without one? Yes, you can get a bank account without a social or a driver's license. You can get one with a passport. By the way, you can get a passport with uh, a driver's license, whether suspended or canceled or what have you. Um, but you can use a passport for all bank accounts, for all identification. And it is real ID, so you don't need to worry about it. And by the way, anybody that's wanting to get real ID, do not get real ID. And secondly, we're working a new thing out for people that have TSA or global pass, where we are doing a removal of agreement of attaching all elements of operating without a warrant on our private data. And so we do a notice of non-response, and default with TSA. So TSA cannot give your or have access to through Homeland Security to your private data. It's just a whole nother thing we're going to be offering very soon. And it's super important because people don't know, and I didn't know. I did a full reservation of rights, so it really doesn't matter to me. I'm really not on social media. I know you maybe think I am. Really not on social media with opinions and comments. I do these broadcast Q&As, but it's that's a little bit different than social media. Next question. I'm in the LPP, and it looks like we skipped step two on the LPP diagram, ordering all adhesion contracts. Went right to step three, removal of signature. So when we were originally started, we went after documents to remove the signature on all adhesion contracts. So we were ordering the original certified copy, the SS5, or the Social Security application and marriage licenses and different things like that. And it was like a double indemnify. We're holding a certified copy of an original. It's a duplicate copy of an original, or what have you, which is equal footing in law of being an original. And then we would do a complete administrative process on that document. And the reality was, it was kind of like it was too much. It was extra work that really didn't need to happen. So we wanted to save money for the members so that they wouldn't have to do the ordering. And it was taking seriously sometimes 6, 8, 10, 12 months to get certain items. And it would upset anybody. And so the reality is you don't need the original copy to create a new contract with those parties like Social Security Administration, DMV, and different things like that. You don't need the original copies. DMVs didn't have original copies. They said they destroyed them. Different things like that. Marriage copies easy to get from the county recorder, but it was a Social Security administrative application that really took a long time. And I still would say order it anyway on your own. And if you want us to help you create the document to order, we will. Because there's a secondary reason that's outside of the LPP that I could share with you privately as to why you would want that. But it's not needed because to create the contracts required through an administrative process where you're creating a court of record is still substantiated by the way that we're doing it by skipping that. So I hope you understand. Next question. Has Impact Health added vision and dental? Yes, they have. And it's been laid out. It's on the website. If you want information, just submit a support ticket and we'll send you some information on the support ticket. Next question. Have you had clients who have government security clearance? Yeah, I answered that, I think, last time. Became a state citizen. Yeah, as a matter of fact, gentleman who's co-author on the book, his testimonials in the book, DOD, Treasury, DOJ, and one other, can't remember. High level security clearances. Ultimately, he went from an employee to contractor to completely private and quit. But we do have other people that have security clearances. The problem is, a couple of them screwed up before they got to his advocates. So there's kind of cleanup there. You don't want to claim to be an American national and try to claim to be a United States citizen. And they heard the American national of the United States was the way to go, and it's simply not. Um, that was what was created by United States under U.S. Code 8 USC 1101-821 to trick people into thinking that the jurisdiction of a national is synonymous with the jurisdiction of a state citizen. It's just simply not. And so one guy told me he was trying to explain it in his 2-year re-up for his dealio. And I said, first and foremost, you do not ever want to declare to be a national, ever. And if somebody were to bring up what is a state citizen, you're just going to simply say it's what every American is. And they're going to say, well, you applied this way. And you're going to say, absolutely. I just want to be clear that I'm making my declaration to the Declaration of Independence to the greatest nation in the world. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. What's the issue there? Because that's what a state citizen is. And so training on how to have those discussion points in the re-ups for who is really getting the security clearance, which is the all caps name, the trust, the birth certificate. Obviously, you're holding that office. Obviously, it's another position that you would have under the United States umbrella. But you can have complete state citizenship all the while operating at a security clearance. The question is, do you want to? Do you want to help a corp, a defunct, fried, bankrupted corporation trying to bring everybody into submission and being surety and all that. You know, I get it's a job, but we have to really evaluate our jobs. Like, would I be a bartender? Would I work at a strip bar? That's how I like in the United States corporation. I don't look at any element of the United States corporation, and I don't care all the way up to the top, all the way up to the office of president. Um, I don't look at it as clean, and I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. I think there's some great people that do operate in government. I think that they are controlled and ran all the way up to the current president. And you know, I said this, yeah, I said this on Tuesday. Um, I said, look for the key words. This isn't prophecy. This is what they are stating. This is something that if you all you do is got to listen for it, and by the end of next year, you're going to hear the word wearable, and that is the precursor to the mark, and it's something that they are going to put on your wrist or on your hand, and you will not be able to buy or sell without it. By 2027, they are going to initiate the world religion. Do with that what you wish. I'm stating two things, not prophecy. I'm hearing things from what they are saying, and we're right there, like right now. So I was at a dinner last night with a major magazine to the industry of Hollywood, an owner of a magazine to the industry of Hollywood. And he's like, aren't you scared doing what you're doing? And I said, no. I said, they need me to be the full disclosure that they have to do what they are doing. I'm not going to get the millions of people. I want them, but the reality is most people will not be going this direction. But they need, for full disclosure reasons, one guy out there that knows what they're doing that can get people free. And that's why they will leave me alone. And then I looked at him and said, if anything, I'd be scared is to be you or to be any US citizen. I said, you guys are the low-hanging fruit. You're the debtor. We live in a world of creditors and debtors. The state citizen is the creditor. State citizen in law, I'm going to release this in my book this week, is not a taxpayer. State citizen is the elector. State citizen is the only thing that can own real land. Not a debtor, not somebody who is a party being the surety for the United States, not most of this country. And so, therefore, with all that they are bringing forward, with the chip, with the mark, with the letter V, you all know what I'm saying, with the injection and all that, with all that they're bringing forward and the ability to, through cDNA, the alteration of a human or a man's DNA, now they are patent holders of the individual. This is why they are going to bring forward the actual implanted chip in the next few years. The goal, the mark is 2030. I'm not holding church service. I'm just telling you what the world is saying. And you need to listen. Do you want to be a debtor? Which, if you're a believer like me, there's nothing about the word that says you should be a debtor or the surety or the collateral for anybody else's debt. So once you resolve that in your mind, dump anything your pastor's saying that to be a good Christian, you must be a taxpayer. That is a lie, especially when you trail where the funds have gone. And don't think you have a good president in office trying to clean the track record. He's trying to merge the data centers to make the next step, which is the wearable next year. Guys, look, we're getting played. It's all an act. It's all a ruse, my opinion. I'm not saying Trump doesn't have a team behind him doing some pretty interesting things. And I'm not saying I'm anti-Trump. I just see things maybe you're not willing to open your eyes to, like the entirety of the teams around him. Look, what if you got into office and he already knows this, the Epstein file list? And you hear all the people, Kash Patel, the FBI director, that lady that just got in with Cash at the same time, Pam Bondi. Now all these people are completely reversing their positions about the Epstein list, the Epstein files. You know, they were publicly saying there's too many videos of children with adults, this, that, and listen, listen. What the FBI is watching is the leadership and the powerful and the elite, the billionaires and the politicians have sex with minor children. How that came about, in my opinion, is the Mossad and CIA, potentially joint, are controlling the entirety of the world with this information, which means the release of this information would cause the world leadership to collapse and the controls would no longer be in play. This is why you're going to hear release this, and this judge over here is going to say no, and release this, and this person is going to say there's nothing there to release. Release this, and it's a show, guys. It's a show. And you know, that show is biblical. It actually talks about what I just said in the word pertaining to all these guys made deals for sexual favors that sold out their nations. It's unreal how uncanny it is. So do with this what you will. Just plan to get out of her, my people. Revelations 18:4. Don't be the surety and the collateral for anything. You can come directly under God as a state citizen, kind of like having a citizenship in heaven right here on earth, full acknowledgement from the United States of America, and where you can travel anywhere in the world. Now, watch. There is something very powerful that happens when you become a creditor. They honor your freedom. I know you don't think this. I'm not talking low level. I'm talking overall, big picture. Trust me, you don't touch a creditor in this world. You don't touch a private banker in this world. You don't touch somebody that is not a party to the debt of something. And that's what you become when you come out of her. And the bottom line is you got to come with clean hands. And we show people how to do that through our process. Next question. I dissolved my LLC a while back and was operating my own DBA. And that's what I've been marketing with. Now I have the foundation, and I was able to get the DBA with the owner being da 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 da. And this is this considered registered? DBA is registered. The DBA belongs to the county recorder's office. Should I just cancel the DBA altogether? I wouldn't have a DBA. There's no need to have a DBA, and you don't need to call anybody into jurisdiction over the DBA. If anything, because I know what you're doing, Jamie, I know that you want to posture yourself for a sale. So whenever that, you find that interest, developing a corporation and transferring the assets into the corporation for the sale of the entity is not that big of a deal. So whether you have a corporation or a DBA, and depending on why you're doing the DBA, other than, you don't need it to open a bank account, you don't need it for a merchant account, you don't need it for all those things. So there's no need to contract with the county recorder whatsoever. Next question. I'm going through your LPP program. We will fill out a revocation of election. You don't fill out anything. We fill it out for you. We give you a form to complete when you get on board, which it's a data form online and it's secure and it goes right into our database and then we create the docs for you. I did not file my 2024 because I do not show enough on record to have to file. But what do I do for the upcoming years? State citizens do not pay taxes. Okay, state citizens, you can continue to contract and waive your rights and interests, but you don't have to. The trick is to how do you make an HR department agree with your preset understanding? So the only thing that a state citizen can do where they are working for a company and truly do right would be one of two, have the company pay your foundation directly as a 1099, the foundation that we create for you. The second thing is do a W-8 BEN. And yeah, the IRS looks at a W-8 BEN as a non-resident alien. We don't need to take on that identity for ourselves, but that's would fall into line with you because you were, as a state citizen, no longer a resident, no longer holding the office of the artificial person. You are, you're free. And so when you do what you do with the IRS, where you do the revocation and when you do the notice of removal of signature and the notice of status, you're done. The final return gets filed with a cover sheet. Obviously, you said, I don't have enough money in 2024 to file the return. So sufficient is the docs that we send out 25, 26, 27. Just stay away from W-4s, stay away from W-9s personally. Do a W-9, which we hand to you with the foundation. Do the W-9 as a foundation or do a W-8 BEN for yourself, but make sure you use the one that we help you with. Okay. Um, I heard you speak to someone tonight about getting them a form to send to the IRS. Yeah, I already addressed that with you. I'm trying to get information about the process. I can't get in touch with anyone. Mike, we have a toll-free number, and it's I'm gonna put it in the comments here. 844-447-2386. You're gonna want to go extension 706. That will get you to anybody to ask questions, um, and so on and so forth. Next question. We have a succession document for our children in the event of our demise, God forbid. They become the executive and managing director. If they choose to sell a home, let's say they take the money into the foundation, they can then liquidate that account without creating a taxable event, 100%, especially if the home's already in the name of the foundation and where the money comes into the foundation. But if it were me, I'd just utilize the funds through the foundation to acquire more stuff for the foundation to which they bear fruit from. Make sense? Next question. Would you sell your silver for obtaining XRP in a split second? I did. I did sell some. Silver, you're going to be able to buy again for the rest of your life. XRP, I don't know if it's going to be for sale in a couple of years. I think they're going to run out of it, and I think they're going to try to block it and all that. But I would sell silver in a second for XRP. I would keep enough to buy some food if I don't have food. I would keep enough to trade with if I didn't have those things, which I did. But I I've always said this, guys. I don't keep capital in bank accounts. Very minimal. I don't trust the banks. I don't trust retirements. I don't trust, checking, savings, any of that stuff. And so if I were you, as capital comes in, you're going to move it into XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, IOTA. Those are cryptocurrencies. They're all ISO 20022 compliant currencies. They have all gone up. XRP has had the biggest gains in the last year of about 54 year to date. Actually, year to date, almost 450% since I started talking about it, over 1,000%. And today we had a big whale sell off and dumped XRP. So I can't wait to go look at the transaction. They made it go from 320 to 309 because that'll be a really good indicator for what's about to happen with all the capital coming in. Anyway, XRP is huge, guys. I just talked about it for a good 45 minutes this morning, about an hour this morning on the VIP motivational meetup. We do those on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m. We are open to questions, conversations, you name it. It's basically to shift the mindsets of, what we're dealing with not only physical, spiritual, emotional, financial, and to stay ahead of the game and keep God in the center of it all. Um, there's so much that we leave on the table spiritually, so much we leave on the table with what we can be doing, and it's all biblical. basis of teaching. But the bottom line is, I can't wait for how all this is going to play out. You know, the actions of a few people are going to make some of the greatest distinctions here on this earth. And I see a lot of darkness coming for people that aren't ready. And I see uh, a pattern and a path for the people that are paying attention and are ready to have the protections and clearances to be directly under God, which means man does not have a lawful right to touch you whatsoever with whatever it is that they are doing. And they are planning on doing a lot of things through Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Program. You will own nothing, and we will own everything. And look, they are buying notes and deeds to homes right now on a massive basis. It's a quarter to a third of all homes in this nation have been corporatized, meaning the powers to be are buying them. They would not be buying them if there wasn't a value in the future of having people rent them. So don't worry about the world disappearing right now. Don't think like that. Don't worry about these tragic, massive events happening, major die-offs, this, that, and the other. Just keep living your life normally and understand that there's moves and there's counter moves. And that's kind of what we talk about and go through on the motivational calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m. on our website. But the moves and the counter moves are interesting. And if you're just watching, you can kind of predict almost everything that they're going to do. And look, for whatever it serves, I'm not patting myself on the back, but it was pretty easy to pick out XRP as the world's reserve currency 7 years ago. 7 years ago. And it immediately went into a lawsuit and it immediately took it off all the exchanges. I didn't stop talking about it. I was like, dude, that's all planned. You know me, guys. This is stuff I've been saying for years. And now all of a sudden it's up 1,500% over the last 7 years, 22 cents to 309, whatever that is. It's up quite a bit. And it's about to go up and through the roof. So get your stuff ready. This is going to be a moment you'll never get back again. And it's the currency that's actually going to be steering and controlling all currencies throughout the world. It's like the transmission point for money to be able to move. They're going to need approval from Ripple and the power structures. Not really approval, but it's going to go on those rails, meaning through their ledger, XRPL, XRP ledger. And what that means for you is all the coins that are going to be held up in by banks, and which are already 98% of all XRP is bank owned or Ripple owned, and soon to be United States corporation owned. Yeah, it could be that they're able to feasibly do a bailout for the country known as United States. It could be that they pay off all the debt for the United States. It could be a lot of different things. I think what we read about in the Word, and I think what you're seeing play out today, there's a lot of things to pay attention to. But stop worrying. Stop worrying. Stop making a pretense as if you're next. 365 times the Bible says, do not fear. Take that very, very, very serious. That's what we do on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings as we build up the mindset, um, biblically build up the mindset and the requirements that you really want to be in position for, mentally ready, spiritually ready, physically ready, uh, so that you're bouncing past a lot of this. I believe that this ministry, His Advocates, has been putting us in a position where we're going to be able to provide safe havens for people in a lot more different respects than what we currently are doing. So I'll share that down the road with you guys, but land, homes, security, food, things that I believe that a nation is going to need, and people are going to be stepping back into republic under God. His advocates is excuse me, very not directly, indirectly entwined with the Republic through me. I've been a part of the re-inhabited Republic since 2010, actually eight, but fully re-inhabited 10, 11, and 12. And I operate as the Secretary of the Treasury for the Republic for the United States of America. I've watched the patterns of how it was developed. And I knew once I got in, none of it mattered unless there was a people that were free. I don't know why I knew that, but watching the patterns of the behavior of the infiltrators, the people who were directly and indirectly informants for the FBI, who brought down leadership within this republic, who have caused nothing but problems for the republic, by watching their behavior when I started touting state citizenship to the republic. Holy crap. The attacks that I got, the firing, the elements of all kinds of stuff just came out of the woodwork. I'm like, all right. Now that I've been studying enough and know the Supreme Court rulings, and you're going to see them in my book coming out, you're going to have an understanding that you want to be here and not where you're at if you're a U.S. citizen. You do not want to be over there. You do not have any protections over there, any. And God is requiring you to come out of being a surety for anything. So this is not a discussion. You don't need to believe me. Go believe scripture, find out what Babylon is. And I can go into that whole thing again for people breaking it down. The only company masquerading as a country with access and controls in the entirety of the world is the United States. And that one is in bankruptcy, and the families now have patents and permissions to complete all these biblical inferences to the mark of the beast and on and on and on. The more I learn, the more I'm like, God knew all of this before the dawn of time. Put a bunch of men together, yes, Freemasons and regular men, and they created something for themselves called the Declaration of Independence. I knew that if you don't sign your name on the Declaration, you're not a party to that. I knew that. One of the things that we do for every passport application, we denounce citizenship in the United States because we have inerrant citizenship in the United States of America. Two very different things. Slaughterhouse cases. You're going to get it broken down for you in my book. We make in the explanatory statement allegiance to the state, which is what our founders were, state citizens. And we also declare under the pains and penalties of perjury that the Declaration of Independence copy on our explanatory statements is a certified true and correct copy of the original. And then we make allegiance to that. Guys, you're not a party to anything unless you affix your mark to it. Stating we are not U.S. citizens under the pains and penalties of perjury, stating that we are a citizen of our state, which makes us a citizen of the greatest nation in the world, the United States of America. They issue a passport. What happened? You declare the right of allegiance to be under God. Now you get the protections of the Elohim. 66 men signed the original. Why didn't they make that a part of the educational system that everybody needs to be a party to it, to understand the Declaration, to understand the Constitution? The Constitution is to restrain the government, to uphold our God-given unalienable rights. The Bill of Rights is just an example of what rights we really have over here. The Bill of Rights aren't our rights. It's just to tell them, hey, free speech, carry guns, carry whatever, self-defend against a tyrannical form of government. It's not against, having the guns and the big guns and the multi-magazines and the rounds within a single magazine is not a choice. It's not to steer off a deer or an elk or a bear. It's to restrain a government asserting unholy, illegal ways upon the people. It's the people's mechanism of a self-defense, the Second Amendment. Guys, we've got it all backwards. And unfortunately, the leadership is training the people to still have it backwards. You don't need a permit to carry a gun. You know what a firearm is in comparison to a gun? A firearm is a registered gun, whether past registered, present registered. How do you have a gun without having it registered? Well, you build it. It can be an 80% lower, what have you. But even guns that you're building yourself, OEM original, Glock original, 80% lowers come with a serial number on them. Those are serial numbers pledged to the state. You got to understand, we fail for a lack of knowledge. That's what makes a gun a firearm, is a registration. So you can build it and complete it, and you can actually remove the serial number of the OEM because you never registered it personally, and people just don't know that. But a lot of times what happens is they want you to think, yeah, you're going to build it and you're probably going to try to sell it. Somebody else is going to grab it and go register it because they don't understand what a ghost gun is or a private gun is. But if you have a firearm and you are a U.S. citizen, the Second Amendment doesn't apply to you. And yeah, you either have to have a permit or a CCW. But if you're a state citizen and you have guns, your God-given unalienable right to carry is guaranteed by the highest law of the land. It's the private contracts that screw you up. The Supreme Court, even all the way in California, has affirmed what I just said. Does that mean local law enforcement knows it? No. But listen, we need to really be thinking through right now who we are and who we are not. And we need to be sharing with our family and friends as fast as we can what it means to be a free man under God and not holding this office of this artificial person, which is the U.S. citizen. It's all trickery, guys. It's all trickery. And I can break it down and break it down and break it down. It's very unfortunate. What we are going to do is in my second book, which will be a long book, we're going to break it down. We're going to break it all down and show people how they did it and all the way through. We do it in the first book. It's just really shortened. But we're excited about letting you guys have a crack at this. Hopefully tomorrow it'll be done and then we'll have approval by Saturday, Sunday from Amazon, and then we're going to do the marketing next week, hopefully. So just hang in there. I live in Maine. Next question. And when I tried to sign my name without prejudice, they wouldn't let me. They said I had to sign my name. How do I deal with this? You know, Damon, I've had a lot of different people um, have issues with that. I don't have issues with that because I don't I don't do that in front of people anymore. So if somebody's requiring a signature, I'm generally carrying the contract home with me, having them email me the contract. I'm taking control of the contract. I make the adjustments I need to make. I put my signature on, email it back. Accounts are open. Um, Sometimes you need a bank account where they don't do that. They don't email you stuff. They want to play those games. They want you to come down like the DMV. I remember I got my whole DMV application together. Literally, the guy took my application, put everything in the system, printed out a new one. I'm like, you mother. I was mad. I just take mine. I don't want to sign another one now, take mine. So I took that and I signed the thing non-assumption in cursive and handed it back to him. I had a driver's license in my wallet. They just got to think through all the way through what you want to do for yourself and what each circumstance is. There may be a different way to get it resolved. Next question. I'm 100% retired, disabled vet, receiving my pension and receiving SSDI from Social Security. We have to stop receiving my SSDI to complete. Will I have to stop? No. Specifically SSDI? No. Technically, the person that is contracted to receive that is the birth certificate, what we do is we change out the element of your relationship with Social Security Administration and these different departments where you currently are operating as the surety and the collateral to becoming the beneficial interest. And I want to take a minute and explain this to people. When you went down to the DMV, you you had an application and it was known as a adhesion trust. That's what I've coined. Adhesion being small, not identifiable, not easy. Trust being DMV of California is the grantor. Read the back of the trust indenture. You'd see the beneficiary. If I do anything sideways wrong or whatever, the DMV of California is also the beneficiary. They only have one spot to sign. There's no counter signature. So you're self-executing a trust with the DMV. And that's the one thing a lot of people don't realize. We did it with the SS4 with Social Security Administration. We do it with the W4, the W9. We do it with everything. These are all self-executing trusts. You can change your position on any self-executing trust anytime you want because there is no countersigned signature. You are a sole party. Now, knowing that and reading our documents within the LPP program, you'll understand how we can create new agreements with these entities while not canceling something in place, simply moving positions from surety trustee to beneficial interest, period. And there's a lot of ways that you can even secure beyond what we're doing, but we do the minimum requirements and it works. Next question. I took a hunter safeties course in New York State, December back 2010. I got a certificate of qualification. Will I, meaning I won't go postal when out in the woods with a gun and can purchase a license and tags each year. Do you think I would need to contact New York State December to remove myself or just don't purchase the license? I don't hunt, so not sure it matters. Okay. That's actually a really good question. Listen, this is the thing that's kind of corny and weird. You know, the federal government tags every single thing that gets born in this nation, which makes it theirs. So if that deer is roaming around on in the woods, that's one thing. If that deer is roaming around on your land, that's another. They have RFID on all of them. They know where they all are. So if you're going to hunt something that belongs to them, you better play ball with the way that they want to play. Now, you're not the one getting the license necessarily. It's the contract to the birth certificate that is getting the license. But you can contract with the state with full reservation of rights. If you're going to hunt and it's their property with a tag on it, you got to play by their rules. Period. That's what I would do. Now, if there was animals on my property that did not have a tag on it and I shot it, I would not report that. It's mine. That animal doesn't belong to anybody else but me. Now, there are people that will open that app on their phone and report that. That'll become one of their kills, but it has no tag. So, because it was born and it was missed or whatever. But in all the stories that I've heard, I haven't found anybody that's finding animals that are not tagged, which blows my mind. Like, how are they getting all of them? They're making them theirs, at a very young age, at a birth age. Just contract with the reservation of rights if you're going to be shooting anything that has a tag on it. Okay. Done with Monday's questions or Tuesday's questions. The next question in the Q&A. I keep hearing an LLC from Wyoming is better than a trust. Yeah, it depends if the trust is registered or unregistered, number one. If it's unregistered, a trust is better than an LLC any day of the week, an unincorporated business trust. If a uh, but better than that is an unincorporated foundation. So, but there's a lot of people out there touting a lot of things like a Cook Island Trust, all these things that are kind of funny. Look, the United States exclusive jurisdiction is in the District of Columbia, UCC, 9 UCC 307H, 9 UCC 307H. That means anything outside of the District of Columbia is the United States of America. So if you make a foundation in California, it's not a party to the United States. Specifically, if you're writing the jurisdictional things properly within the United States, or excuse me, within the foundation, um, and you're not bringing any corporate structure into being a party to the foundation, then you have nothing to worry about ever. And so the foundation is always better than a trust. And the reason is a foundation is an ongoing event. A trust can be an ongoing event, but with beneficial interest. People in there with a direct beneficiary that will be named upon an event of a death. That beneficiary is going to get a W-9 and become taxed on whatever you transfer to that beneficiary. And that beneficiary is generally going to be a registered organization, meaning a company or a birth certificate, or meaning an all caps named person. So why not leave it in the foundation and teach your children how to live through the foundation, where the foundation owns everything, bypassing probate, bypassing death, bypassing tax, bypassing capital gains, bypassing all of it. And so now you truly have family wealth, and the kids can take money out all day long. You can even take it out as a loan if that's the structure you want to do, because they're not a U.S. citizen, or they are a U.S. citizen and they haven't gone through the process we have. Sorry. So somebody who's taking a loan from a foundation as a U.S. citizen does not have a requirement to pay taxes. But ultimately, doing it smart, you would have your kids have their own foundations, to where if they were going to draw something down or out of, or if they were going to create a business or a business through, you'd want it to go through their own foundation. Ultimately, sometimes families don't work together. And so you want to be able to pass what you have to your children, but you want to make sure your children don't pay the tax. Why? Because they are not required to, if they are smart and they keep it within private entities. This is not anything wrong, especially if I always say it this way. We quadruple indemnify our members, the LPP members. Going through the LPP process, you become a state citizen, not required to pay taxes. We even go the next level. We even do the revocation of election with the IRS, notice of status as a state citizen, notice of removal of signatures. You're out. You're out right here alone. But because you're also this, you're now double indemnified. Then we create a foundation for you, and you think you own your property right now, and you actually don't. Being a real estate broker by trade for the amount of years I have been, I've seen more titles than the average bear. Titles, listen, a U.S. citizen is not allowed to own land in this nation. So what did they do? They created a legal description, and they made you a joint tenant. You think you own land, you pay property taxes, you put all your cash into a home. You don't own jack. And I've been yelling this for years. Land ownership is metes and bounds. If you have it in your name, it's not yours. It belongs to the state. Your name is a birth certificate that belongs to the state. The party of the union, according to the marriage license covenant or marriage license agreement, all the product of the union belongs to the state. Children. And then the children go and register everything they own in their name or a company name. All that belongs to the state. All this was done in trickery. So, state citizen, quadruple indemnified. First, state citizen. Second, IRS. Third, everything's done through the foundation. Think about this. How smart is that? Okay. If you're operating everything through a foundation, you're exempt. Lastly, if you ever need income for yourself, just keep it through the foundation. You're bulletproof. But if you really want income for yourself for whatever reason, don't do it as income, do it as a drawdown loan from the foundation. Now you can buy whatever you want, but are you dumb enough to put it in your name? Please tell me no. Why do you need it? Just have the foundation buy your vacation, have the foundation buy your home, have the foundation buy your cars, have it buy whatever, and put all the bills in the name of the foundation, pay all the bills through the foundation, everything. Quadruple indemnified. There's no such thing as income for you personally. There's no IRS issues. You're operating outside of their jurisdiction. Nobody's training on that. And then keep your deeds in your home in the foundation name with meets and bounds, using gold, using a deed acceptance. That's the biggest trick they do is they create a deed where only the seller's signature on it. What a joke. I hate to say it. We have been played and played and played. All right. Our deeds come fully ready, fully in the private. If you need a deed and you are a party to a living in the private, we will give you a template for free that you can do it. If you want us to do a deed for you in the private where you actually own something, it's $4.95. We require you get the meets and bounds on it. We'll create it for you. It is so hard to understand this, how we've been played. But you want to make sure everything is out of the public and into the private, and they have to record those deeds. They do. They have to record them. And now I have members who are getting their deeds and removing themselves from paying taxes on those properties on that land because it's owned by a foundation. And yes, listen, this is work, and we don't do the work for you. I can't do all. We're not attorneys dealing with 3,000 different county recorders offices trying to do. We help people with the understanding of what the process is, but the reality is the people putting in the work are having success and getting pushed back, but having success. Absolutely. Um, and a subpoena and keeping to a theme, the living in the private would the foundation banking info be subject to a subpoena? No, it doesn't mean that they can't order the bank to give the data information of the bank, meaning your account, to the court, but they would have to prove that you are the executive director, but they would have literally no jurisdiction over it. I haven't seen that done. I'm just guessing. But no, I don't think a court would have jurisdictional position to subpoena assets within a foundation. Number one, there's no registration, period. It's private. It's not public. Now, if you were to go in there and say, yeah, I'm the sole owner of the foundation and do something retarded like that, you might, put yourself in a different position. And if you refuse to disclose info, would it be contempt? What the judge would imply as contempt and what would be contempt are two different things. Number one. Number two, we have a letter that you can submit to the court that you have agreements with the foundation that keep the foundation private and that you are compelled under those agreements to not disclose information. And they're used to seeing that with trust, and there's not much they can do about it, guys. All right, Jack. I had finished sending out the letters to the DMV SS5 revocation signature, and Board of Elections here, and da 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 da. I recently got a letter from the Board of Elections basically stating my letters were unclear. Doesn't matter. They were very clear. And what I was requesting to my registration, if I want to cancel, then please reply in a signature letter clearly stating that. Your letters state that. You clearly are stating that. And you're doing 3 letters with the voters. Don't worry about responding to them. Just keep sending off the letters. When you're done, you've created a record canceling your voters. To the extent that you may be asking that your signature be deleted from the board's databases, please be advised that your signature is required to be on file by law. So my question is my signature required to be on file by law? Ask them what law if you want. You can remove your signature off of any agreement for anything for fraud. And many of these people do not understand that these applications that they have done for voters for DMV are fraud in the fact, and especially DMV because they're contracting with a minor on very adult materials, and they can't do that. So, um, Jack, just I mean, you don't need to worry about whether your signature is on file by law or not. What you need to worry about is, did you send letter one out? Did you send letter two out? Did you send letter three out? 11 days later, after letter three, the court of record is now complete. The new agreement has been substantiated because you've repeated yourself on letter two. They had a notice of removal and non and an offer to cure based on X, X, and X. They don't cure. Notice of default. That is a court of record complete new agreement between you and the county. Then it goes into your active state and you mail them again a complete copy if you wish. How do we initial documents that require an initial? Is there an initial equivalent like non-assumptive? I wouldn't worry about it, John. You're initialing a subsection of a document you never sign. You know what I mean? A document that says non-assumptive on the signature doesn't matter. It's a good question though. Um, Eva the Great. Eva, you're funny. You mentioned I'd open a foundation for my family members so they don't have to worry about reporting. However, they unfortunately isn't feasible for the dozens of family that we want to support. Also mentioned it may be considered reportable event for our family members because it may look like income or benefit to them. Um, Number one, if a foundation is giving money to somebody, it's not income. Income specifically, even if they make a deposit to their bank accounts personally, is only substantiated when a W-2 or a W-4 agreement or a 1099 agreement is in play, or whether they work for a company and received a K-1. Income is not deposits, no matter what any CPA says, income is not deposits to a bank account. And so just because somebody had received money from you, call it a loan, and put it on the books as a loan, they do not need to pay it back. And it will not convert to income later, period, because there is no contract whatsoever. There is a thing called debt forgiveness. There's a thing called an actual loan. Debt forgiveness does not constitute income. This is why it pisses me off when I see people in their homes being required to sign 1099s and receive these 1099s from banks on income due to the sale of their house. I mean, it blows my mind. You steal the house and give them a 1099 for the loss. It blows my mind. Is there any way to avoid this so we can support our families, communities on a large scale without the hassle of them needing to report the money? Yeah, just either buy all the food and whatever they need for them, or give them the capital and call it a loan. I have a will for many years. I'm sure I put either my husband or my oldest son as beneficiaries on this and our insurance policies. I know that's not the best way. What should I do? I do have a foundation. Um, make everything owned by the foundation. Make the beneficiaries of the will the foundation. Put an operating agreement that sounds like your will into the foundation. In the event of X, this is what takes place and who is now in control of the foundation. You bypass probate, you bypass the beneficiary when they receive a check and they have to pay taxes on it. You bypass all of that, and all the assets stay inside of the foundation. Plus, guys, every time you sell a house, it's reassessed, and now you go from X taxes to X taxes. You want to keep it in the foundation. This is just a rule of thumb. You want to keep everything in the foundation. You're avoiding all tax. Everything becomes exempt. All capital gains are exempt. And you're not going to have these high property taxes as you would if you were to give your kids an equal share or interest in a house. You're going to sell the house and they're going to have to pay all this taxes on capital gains because you're putting them as the beneficiaries, and it would be construed as income in their own mind. And some escrow, some trustee, some whatever is going to go, oh, okay, let's give them a 1099. They do it all the time. So get everything into the foundation, owned by the foundation. If you can't, make the foundation the beneficial interest in the trust, and then put the a standard operating agreement inside the foundation that looks like the will and gives you, except keeps everything controlled by the foundation. And then just teach your kid or children how to operate the foundation in the event of. And one of the things I'm seriously considering doing is creating a service in the event um, you would tell me what your desires are for your family, for the foundation, and I would go into completing those desires, putting your children on, telling them how to do it, teaching them how to do it, walking them through how to do it. We're absolutely going to put something like that together. We don't have time right now, but in the next year, I really want these foundations that we are doing to carry through generations, to allow for generational wealth. Who wants a 50% death tax? You know, what's your position of a modial? You mean a allodial title on your house or car or anything physical that you own? A allodial title, ALL. Um, yeah, it's if you look up currently what's recorded on our deeds that we offer for people, it's a vesting of fee simple. But there's many elements of a deed. I really should just do a course on deeds. There's many, and I've done it a lot, where I speak on it a lot, but there's really 6 elements of a deed that need to be private. And if you currently are joint tenants, tenants in commons, whatever, or where you're the name beneficiary, the name grantee, meaning the purchaser, you don't own the property if it's the state does. And especially when you're looking at a legal description and where your vesting is as a joint tenant. So if you want to own something, you need to own land. That's meets and bounds. That's not a legal description. If you want to own it, you got to own it in a creation that you did, a foundation that you created, private, unregistered. Now you can record something that the state doesn't control and own. And that's in a vesting style of fee simple. Go look up fee simple. It's absolute 10-year in title, okay, to the center of the earth. You have to understand though, some people have pre-existing titles that have easements, that have mineral rights issues, that have all kinds of things, and we'll deal with you on those things. But you can get titles put into your foundation name with the proper meets and bounds and protect your home. Now, a allodial title doesn't mean that automatically you get this deed recorded in the county recorded. They're going to say, "Oh, we got a guy who's a church. Let's tax exempt him." They don't play they won't play that game. You're going to fight for that. And even 501c3s fight for that exemption. They have to go through a process. But um that's a question we've asked and answered a lot. And as a licensed real estate broker, I've done thousands of loan transactions, real estate transactions. I understand title really, 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 really well. And it blows my mind that we got hoodwinked on this. Uh, I bought a house and I didn't buy anything but air. And I vested it as a tenant. And I paid all these taxes and all this money down, and I never owned anything. That's the games they're playing with us. Next question. Do we have a standard operating agreement for folks living in the private program? Just ask the back office. Yeah, correct. Louisiana State falls under Napoleonic Code. I'm told that I can't have a foundation. I'm required to have a trust through the bar. Liars. Liars. We have a lot of people in Louisiana with foundations. What are your obligations of the foundations for IR contribution requirements? IR, internal revenue contribution requirements. What are your obligations of the foundations? None. You can give your clients, members that are donating or contributing to the foundation a contribution receipt with your tax ID number, and they can make a deduction and write it off. Period. Do we have to have a mail situation and office of the person 100% cleaned up prior to sending IRS docs? No. If a foundation B of A account was opened up and now the manager accidentally put that I was a part owner, how should I go and reverse that mistake on their end? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Your relationship with the bank is not that big of a deal. Next question. Any chance we in LPP can receive the reservoir of case law that you have? Very interested in seeing all the cases that you have directly. Yeah, you just go to our blog section on hisadvocates.org and look up state citizenship cases under the advanced search, and it'll pop up. Plus, in the book that we're coming out with, we break down several of the cases that really matter. That's it, man. We did it in an hour and 11 minutes. Awesome sauce. Now I get to go and relax and eat dinner and post a bunch of videos. That's what I do. I post videos. I gotta find somebody that can do that for me. Anyway, God bless you guys. Um, Monday, 4 p.m. Saturday, 9 a.m. prayer. Monday, 4 p.m. Q&A. Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. VIP. Thursday morning, 8 a.m. VIP. And if you guys have any needs for yourself privately or professionally and you need help, um, come with humility and just be open to learn. Know that we love you. Um, we're not here to hurt anybody. Um, I had a bugger of a guy come and there was just no humility there, and he wanted to talk about what he wanted to talk about, and I gave him 15 minutes for free, and I said, look, the purpose of this is so that I can answer questions pertaining to the LPP, not debate you on things that you have obviously a position on. And our time is valuable. It really is. And just like your time, you're never going to get it back. Like I'm never going to get that time back. Time is gold for you. Time is gold for me. And I either want to be a good example for people, uh, but I want my time honored. And it's unfortunate that, people out there that think they know what it means to be self-governed can't even reflect upon their own behavior for a minute. And that's one of the things that I think that, in self-governed, we really need to realize that our behavior needs to match and reflect. And I'm, you know, there's a lot going on. We have a lot going on. We're filing federal suits for defamation against about 7, 8 people. Members of the Republic came out of nowhere and just decided to attack me, making assertions against me. One of them is I stole $5 million from the Republic. And these guys are crazy. You know what? The whole sovereignty movement, a bunch of crazies. Bunch of crazies. I'm with law enforcement on this. They just operate outside of the will of God. They're willing to lie about you on anything, and we're gonna hand them a 2x4 and spank them. We're gonna spank them really good. Why? Because I love this nation, I love the Republic, and I want the truth to be clear, and I want the truth to come out. And I'm fed up with people that are willing to lie and do whatever it takes to defame you. And I'm going to show people that you need to operate in honor in everything that you do. And that's really what self-governance is operating in honor. So I'm looking forward to, and I have never wanted this ever. I've never wanted to sue anybody for anything. Um, but this is going to be a big deal. And it's because there's people out there that are pretending, and we're going to out them publicly. They're pretending to be this, that, and the other. And they're in all reality they're either of the devil or they're an agent, and we're going to get them exposed, and we're going to prove our point. And guys, look, they don't want you to have what we have. They will do anything, talk about state citizenship. They'll make lies up about what it's called American national. It's a lie. They'll say they worked with, and I say this now because the guy's dead. They say he worked directly with Trump and that he was in the CIA, and that he talks about it's called American National, and you do this little bit of paperwork and you're free. Lies, lies, more lies. It's just crazy where we're at in society right now, to where, that's why I only look at the Supreme Court. And this is why our members don't get in trouble. A lot of other people out there are getting in trouble. You want to be a state citizen and you want to go through the process right, and you want your hands held right. And all I ask for is a little bit of humility and just honor your word. And let's get through this together. And we've helped thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And it's about to grow. Um, and they have to let this grow because they can't stop what God wants. They can't. And they have to let it go because from an esoteric thing, they have to allow for full disclosure. It's not just a concept, it's like a requirement in their devil worship. So you can have what we have and you can be free, and it's just a shifting and retraining of the mindset. And we're gonna have a book come out hopefully on a Monday-ish. I'm going to ask that you guys get behind it any which way you can. Spend a few hours mailing copies to people, digital copies. We're going to sell it for like 98 cents, 99 cents, whatever it is, for the first 48, 72 hours. Please get behind it and just get copies out to people. Have them read it. I'm going to try to get it in an audible format as soon as possible and just read it out loud, so people can listen to it. But what we put in here from a supporting case law standpoint can't be denied. The Supreme Court of the United States of America said it. You can't deny it. The DOS confirms it every time we do an application. You can't deny it. And what's private belongs to God, cannot be touched. This is why we want to take all these things that they are trying to steal, our children, the assets of this world, the land. We want to give it all back to Yeshua, to God, and the beneficiary, his son, who was found worthy to go up to him who sat on the throne, Revelations 5, and take out of his hand the title deed to this earth. All the 24 elders fell down, threw their crowns to his feet, and worshiped Yeshua, Jesus, who was the title deed holder to this earth. Now, that may sound funny to a lot of people who don't really look at Jesus or truth the way that I do. It was so significant that the devil has to make you think you own land and hide that, make you think you own your kids and hide that through a birth certificate, an abandonment certificate, to have you think you own cash and create fictitious digital fiat. Everything in this world, the hard assets belong to Yeshua. The devil created an overlay and an equivalent of air, something intangible, not real, and makes you think you own it. It's crazy. It just brings the biblical points to life to show that there is a spiritual battle And we just need to operate on the one side under God in the private and watch what happens in the protections that we have. Hopefully next week, Raul. Have a great weekend, guys. I will see you hopefully Saturday morning, 9 a.m. prayer call. If you need prayer, God bless you guys. Have a great week. And